simultaneous holding of the position of Speaker with that of the leader of political party and the leadership positions in the ruling political coalition, as in the case with the current National Assembly. And the concluding part is, this dual role is therefore unlawful and unconstitutional. Mr. Speaker, that is paragraph 504. They continue in 505. We hold that the Speaker was elected in accordance with Article 106 of the Standing Orders. The fact that he was a party leader at the time of his election could not invalidate his election. However, for the reasons we have given, his position as the leader of Fort Kenya or the leader of any other political office, for that matter, became untenable and inconsequential the moment he assumed the office of the Speaker of the National Assembly. He could not, and he has no capacity to perform any other functions as a leader of a political party or a political organ as long as he is the Speaker of the National Assembly. I've referred to two paragraphs, 504 and 505. That is on the whether the court expressly found the two offices untenable. And I will be making a concession separately. Now, 508, and this is important because I think we are debating in ignorance, Mr. Speaker. 508, it is hereby declared that the question as to which party or coalition of parties is a majority in the National Assembly in the 13th Parliament was determined by the sovereign will of the Kenyan voters during the 9th August 2022 general election. It continues, Roman 2, it is hereby declared that the Honorable Speaker's ruling on determination contained in his communication of 6th October is null and void. Roman 3, it is hereby declared that the Honorable Speaker's ruling on determination, blah, 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 on the minority, again, is null and void. And finally, an order of certiorari is hereby issued quashing the Speaker's ruling. Let me now make my submission, Mr. Speaker. First of all, this matter did not go to court in vain. The contestation, Mr. Speaker, was your considered ruling of 6th of October. Once that ruling is quashed, you cannot then, Mr. Speaker, with due respect, come and say that no decision has been made. The consequences are two. One, the leader of minority becomes the leader of majority by operation of law, even if you do nothing else. But in this case, we have gone further. And under Standing Order 19A, Standing Order 3, it...
I'll add you 1 minute. 1 minute.
Mr. Speaker, under 19A, it's very clear. The majority party whip shall communicate the name of the members elected under paragraph 1 to the Speaker in writing. And that was already done by the Honorable Millie Mabona. That settles that case. Mr. Speaker, the only way we can start debating whether this decision quashes and changes the position of majority and minority is if we want to practice impunity. Mr. Speaker, and I agree with your observations, it is not in this forum to question the reasoning in the judgment. That must be questioned elsewhere. The only issue is it the finding of the court? And it is. And if we are to be a country that practices the rule of law, let it be appealed. But until then, let it be implemented. Let the Honorable Junet Mohammed be the majority leader. And it does not matter whether you are in government or not, because we are not debating who's in government and who's not. We are not debating the reasoning. Mr. Speaker, we are not even debating your election because we all participated. Some of us who are not in the other party still voted for you. So,
Milemba. Order Wanjala.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Order Wanjala. It suffices to mention that the senior counsel has also read the judgment very selectively. Very selectively. Yes.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. And I think this judgment is good, and I want to ask members to exercise restraint the way we are doing as we deal with it, because it will grow our own standing orders and decisions that have been taken by this Parliament before, just like when we had the stalemate on who should lead the House Business Committee, and the Honorable Marende made the ruling that has been talked about. Honorable Speaker, in the judgments, which I've also read about 508 paragraphs, I want to spot out one, and which I think the senior counsel did speak on. and that's the one that says that the question as to which the party or coalition of a party is a majority party was determined by the sovereign will of the people on the 9th August 2022. That is as it goes. Honorable Speaker, this statement and these paragraphs presumes that Parliament will stay static and there will be no changes in Parliament as at the time when the elections was done. The truth is that if we were to follow this, it would mean that majority party would remain majority party for 5 years as determined at the time of the general elections. That is not correct. Majority and minority parties are a fluid situation that keeps on changing depending on many happenings within Parliament. We know of the by-elections that are forthcoming in some of the constituencies. We have 4 constituencies which you can name, Benisa, Ugenya, and others which lost or don't have members of Parliament. What are the kind of results that will come out of that situation? Will it not numerically affect the majority and minority leadership in the House? Those are issues that I want you, Honorable Speaker, to determine. It also assumes that there are no post-election agreements which can be done. When you go to Schedule 3 of the political parties, it talks about how coalitions can be entered. You can get out of coalitions, and it determines how they can be done in law. If all those changes have happened, then we cannot be static and say that it is static for 5 years. And therefore, one other reason, Honorable Speaker and members, why the court did not go to the extent of determining is because there are 3 arms of government. They have the legislature, we have Parliament, and we have the judiciary. And the Parliament is independent, honorable members. Let's not allow that we shall be told what to do. Here, this must be done by the rules and order of Parliament, which is our own standing orders. And that is why, Honorable Speaker, you have to make a ruling on this, on which political party, as of now, give me some more time, is the majority in the House. This is not a static position. It's a fluid position that keeps on changing. Let me refer to governments like governments in Germany, Israel, very good examples. Currently, the Prime Minister of Canada is going to resign. Why? Because he has lost some of the coalition parties that were around him. Once he loses them, he's no longer the leader. And therefore, we have to rearrange Parliament. Thank you, and I submit.
Karole Omondi.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. I did raise this matter on October 6th. Actually, it was my first statement in this House on the question of which of the coalitions was majority party in this House. The courts have made that decision somewhat by not declaring, but by giving the indication as to how the process should be done. I think we should frame our issues in terms of 5 questions. On the question of what is majority party, it is not for the court, it is not for the Speaker to decide. It is not even for this House to debate and decide. Our standing orders clearly provide the mechanism of determining which is the majority party in this House. The clerk writes to the registrar of political parties. The registrar of political parties gives us a return based on IEBC election results. And on the basis of the letter from the registrar of political parties, this House gets to know which is the majority party. That is the position in law. That is the position in law. And that is what I raised on October 6, 2022. And that is the path we must go back to. That is the path we must go back to. It is not for the courts, it's not for the Speaker, it is not for this House to debate or decide the majority party. Second question is who the majority leader or the minority leader is. By dint of this decision, as we speak today in this House, there is neither a majority leader nor a minority leader. By dint of that decision. And again, our standing orders and the Constitution provide a pathway. We have, as coalitions, must hold elections and bring minutes tabled in this House to determine who the majority leader is, who the minority leader is. That has not been done. So there is no majority leader, there is no minority leader today. My friend Ichungwah is out of work, Junet Mohammed is out of work. The third question is the question of the import of this judgment on the position of the Speaker. The position in law is that the Speaker was elected by a majority of members of this House. This decision does not affect your position. Number 4, the question of the constitution of the committees of this House. We cannot even proceed to constitute the House Business Committee today because we neither have a majority or a minority leader. We have to determine those questions first before we go forth and constitute committees of the House. Finally, the impact of this decision on the previous decisions of this House. None. Whatever was done then in good faith holds. We must now proceed and write to the registrar to tell us who the majority party is. That is the position in law. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Majority Leader for Kimani Ichungwah.
Thank you.
Imani Ichungwah will speak.
Thank you, Honorable
Imani
Speaker.
Ichungwah will speak.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, let me first welcome members back to the House after the long recess and join you in thanking members even for showing up during the special sitting last month. Honorable Speaker, I also take cognizance of the issues before you and before the House. Let me start on a light note, Honorable Speaker, by saying to my brother, Honorable Junet, he said that this seat seems to be warm. And this seat is a seat like any other in this House. I know in a presidential system, Honorable Speaker, any member can sit anywhere. And if the Honorable Junet feels this seat is warmer than his, we must make sure that we warm Junet's seat wherever he sits so that he feels the warmth of the House. Honorable Speaker, the matter before us is a straightforward matter. And I want to agree with many of the things that have been said, including what the Honorable Karoli Omondi has just said, that the import of this court ruling has nothing to do with past decisions of this House over the last 2 years. Because decisions of the House, whether it is legislation, whether it is approvals that we make, are not made by a party. Neither are they made as business owned by the leader of the majority.
Bensouda, you can't just dash across the floor like that. Order.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Bensouda is not used to sitting on this side of the House, so we may forgive her. Honorable Speaker, I was saying that decisions of the House are decisions of Parliament. That is why when we move a bill, a government bill, moved by the leader of majority, when it is approved by the House and enacted as law, it becomes an act of Parliament, not an act of the leader of majority or an act of the government of Kenya. It becomes an act of Parliament. And therefore, all previous decisions made by this House have been decisions of the House, and the House subsists as it were on the 9th of August 2022, as it is today, Honorable Speaker, with the unfortunate loss of one or two of our members who have lost, one through a by-election and one by passing on. Honorable Speaker, we also have a very good constitution, Honorable Speaker. And as much as I respect the decision of the court, I completely disagree with the court in many aspects, and some of which have been touched on. I do not want to dwell on to them, Honorable Speaker. But the question that we need to ask you, Honorable Speaker, and ask ourselves, what is it out of the 34 prayers? Honorable Speaker, there is a lot of loud consultations behind me.
Order, members.
I was saying, Honorable Speaker, the gentleman who went to court with a total of 34 prayers before the court. Amongst those prayers was a declaration by the court that the Azimio coalition be declared as a majority party and the leader of the Azimio coalition in Parliament be declared as the majority leader in the House. The court declined to give that declaration or that ruling. The only ruling out of the 34, Honorable Speaker, that was given by the court was to annul your ruling of October 2022. And the import of that annulment, Honorable Speaker, when they said that they found it to be unconstitutional, null and void, the import of that is we go back to the status quo as at 9th of August 2022.
It's called status quo ante.
Status quo ante, Honorable Speaker. You know, I'm only an accountant, I'm not a lawyer, Honorable Speaker. But at least, I also know, Honorable Speaker, because I studied in commercial law, in my accounting studies, the doctrine of ultra vires, where anything that is ultra vires the Constitution, any
Give him a minute.
Any statute, Honorable Speaker, or any act of parliament that is inconsistent with the Constitution is null and void to the extent of that inconsistency. And I was saying we have a beautiful Constitution because this Constitution gives powers, or rather powers to enjoy rights, including the right of association, which is the most important thing in our Constitution. Chapter 4 is what, Chapter 4 for Constitution on the Bill of Rights is what has built our Constitution as amongst the most progressive constitutions in the world. Therefore, the members, the 14 members in question, Honorable Speaker, from UDM, PA, MDDG, MCCP, enjoy certain rights that not an act of parliament can take away from them, including the right to associate. No court, no law can tell the member for Ugenya, MDDG, that he must remain in Azimio. There is no court, no act of parliament, including the Political Parties and the Political Parties Coalition Act that was acrimoniously passed in this House at the tail end of the last parliament, can force the 8 members of UDM to associate with Azimio. That cannot happen, Honorable Speaker, and that is why, to a large extent, I disagree with the court, because those 14 members enjoy certain inalienable rights to enjoy their rights of association, to associate with the political coalition they desired. And they told us, Honorable Speaker, letters were tabled, including letters, Honorable Speaker, that I have seen from the Register of Political Parties, ascertaining that MDDG, UDM, PA, Maendeleo Chap have left Azimio. The leader of Jubilee Party in this House, Honorable Speaker, the Honorable Sabina Chege, has today enjoys a position as a whip of an independent parliamentary political party called Jubilee. On that basis, Honorable Speaker, Jubilee then cannot and shall not and shall never be counted as part of Azimio. Therefore, Honorable Speaker, what, Honorable Speaker, we are inviting you to make a decision on the status quo ante. On status quo ante, Honorable Speaker, it is up to you as a Speaker to now make a fresh ruling, since you are ruling.
Yes, Junet.
Mr. Speaker, it is not my intention to interrupt
You have already done so.
Yeah, my colleague, Mr. Speaker,
Yes.
the minority leader. Mr. Speaker, is it correct, Mr. Speaker, for the minority leader to mislead the House that those parties who are members of Azimio cannot be forced to stay in Azimio, Mr. Speaker? To that extent, Mr. Speaker, there is a procedure of getting out of Azimio, Mr. Speaker. They have not followed the procedure, Mr. Speaker, and I can tell you I'm the Secretary General of Azimio, Mr. Speaker. They only wrote letters to me. They never followed the procedure, Mr. Speaker. And Mr. Speaker, I can see David Otieng wants to respond to me. That's one member party, Mr. Speaker. We don't discuss in this, Mr. Speaker.
Order, Honorable Junet. Don't disparage your colleagues. You are better than that. Kimani Ichungwah, you have 1 minute.
Honorable Speaker, so that I do not waste a lot of time, I was saying that what you are being called upon to determine from the status quo ante is as we speak now, because your decision or your ruling of October has been annulled by the court. Respect to that court ruling is paramount, and you must respect it. And that is why, Honorable Speaker, myself, in respect of that court ruling, today, I have appeared here and decided to sit with my brother, Honorable Junet, wherever I can sit, Honorable Speaker, because that ruling being annulled now calls on you to now look at the facts as they are today and numbers as they are. Honorable Speaker, you know, last week we got letters from the clerk's office, myself and the Honorable Junet Mohammed, to submit names for the House Business Committee. And it is important to note, Honorable Speaker, that both of us have seen submitted names to the House Business Committee, names which appear on the order paper today, both from the minority side and from the majority side, Honorable Speaker. And when we did that, Honorable Speaker, we were cognizant, because we did the letters, some as late as yesterday, of the court ruling. I therefore want to ask you, Honorable Speaker, as you make your decision on this matter, to look at all the facts as they are. The 14 contentious slots in Azimio, and I agree with Honorable Junet, there was a process of getting out of Azimio. That process, has it been followed? Are there letters? Because, Honorable Speaker, I have seen letters that confirm that UDM, MCCCP, PA, MDDG have left Azimio. The Honorable Sabina Chege, Honorable Speaker, I am speaking about the letters, Honorable Speaker, that I have, which I will table before the House, Honorable Speaker, because I have copies in the office from the Registrar of Political Parties. And therefore, Honorable Speaker, I want to beg of you that as you make that decision, look at those facts. Also, Honorable Speaker, look at the facts that today, Honorable Speaker, the Honorable Osoro did submit a letter to you on my nomination and election as a leader of majority in September of 2022, signed and assented to by over 171 members of this House. The Honorable Junet Mohammed, late last year, after the Honorable Pio left, did submit the whip.
Yes, wind up.
The Honorable Junet Mohammed, in his nomination as the leader of minority, did submit a letter nominating him upon election by Azimio coalition as the minority leader, signed by a paltry 80 members of the Azimio coalition. Actually less than even what is provided for in our own standing orders, Honorable Speaker. Less than what is provided for in our standing orders, because our standing orders have a certain threshold as to who and how many members should have elected you as a minority leader, Honorable Speaker. And therefore, Honorable Speaker, it is my humble submission that you have facts on your table. Make a ruling when the time comes.